Welcome back to the Chester Centurions podcast, where we dig into the stories behind the businesses that are built to last. Today, I'm joined by Stephen Johansen, founder of Indigo, a business that's been growing strong for 23 years. What started as a structured cabling company has evolved into a cutting-edge IT provider, supporting everything from schools and hotels to world-class sporting events and music festivals. Think Super Cup in the UAE, Formula One hospitality, Madonna, Prince, Creamfields, Reading Festival, you name it. In this episode, Stephen shares what it's really like to go from electrician to entrepreneur, why year 2 is often harder than year 1, and how he pushed through, how core values help attract the right people and shape the kind of business you want to work in, and why gut instinct, resilience, and constant evolution are essential ingredients for long-term success. We also talk about building a business you'd want to work in yourself, finding work-life balance as a dad and a business owner, and what it takes to step back, empower your team, and enjoy the ride after many years of graft. This one's full of honesty, practical insight, and a brilliant reminder that strong values drive strong businesses. Let's dive in. Stephen, welcome to the Chester Centurion podcast.
Hi. How you doing, Alan?
I'm great, thank you very much. Listen, but before we get started today, I'd love to know a little bit more about the business. I'd love to know a little bit more about Indigo and, you know, how long you've been trading and what it is you do.
Well, we've been trading since 2002, so 23 years now. And we started out as a structured cabling company, and that's certainly evolved into different IT products. I would say we're more of an IT provider now than where we originally started. And that's generally been from a journey that you've been on with the customers. You know, you follow that journey. They may lead you in certain directions, and hopefully the two of those things sort of marry up, and you get we as a business prosper and grow, and them as a business get supported.
And from I guess you put in networks and network engineering, all that kind of stuff. What's the most ambitious project you've ever done?
I mean, ambitious projects. I think we've been doing like schools, colleges, hotels, offices, call centers for many, many years. And we got a call to do outside Wi-Fi for the Super Cup in the UAE, and we started doing football stadiums. So we did a couple of football stadiums over there and a tennis stadium, and we also did, as part of the tennis, we were over similar time when the F1 was on, so we did a little bit of work for setting up some. They were like hospitality. So if you watch the F1, you can come and, I think it was Madonna, that there was Prince, I remember he was on. And the idea being that, it was like corporate entertainment sort of thing. So it sort of got us into the music sort of area, which is what's then moved us further along. I say that it's the ambitious one because we had no clue how to do any business out there, how we're going to get kit over there, how do we do, all those sort of stuff. But I think you have to follow the journey that the company, the customer wants to take you on a journey, I think sometimes, and you've got to be prepared to go with them, even if you feel uncomfortable, because they know your skills, they know your ethics, they know how you do business with it, but they're more appreciative that maybe you don't, the things that you don't know are not the concern to them. They know the other bits are good. So they can take you on a journey. I think it's the biggest change is probably when we did the work out there was we're so used to doing schools, colleges, that sort of stuff, and to be able to take those same methodologies into building a corporate network into the middle of a field has then moved us into like more into music than we've ever been, and that started another journey.
That's so cool. That is so cool, Stephen. I don't think I've ever heard the words Madonna, Prince, and UAE Formula One in one sentence before. So I'm impressed, and a massive Formula One fan, so I'm a little bit jealous as well, to be honest. But what motivated you to start your own business? What was the driving force behind your decision to, I guess, take on this entrepreneurial role?
Yeah, I think I ran a division in a company, and that division, it started from as basics as I was an electrician, and we were at the same business. We would phone round, do you need some cabling doing? And until someone said yes, and then they said yes, I'd pick up my tools and I'd go and do it. So I'd built it from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
And we had our own customers that weren't the same customers that the rest of the business had. So it always felt I was working a little bit like, felt like my own business. That's how it felt like. I had my own customers. I didn't need to discuss it with anybody else. And it went that sort of way. And we just got to the point where, an MBO happened. And they needed to change their business. Mm-hmm. So that's where the opportunity came up. And I think it felt like I was already running a business. It felt big responsibility for the staff and their families, so to speak. And at that point, we didn't have any children ourselves, so the risk didn't feel, too overwhelming. So that was really where the thought sort of came. So we had 2 weeks to start it. Wow. We went from there.
And if you go back to that day, so the MBOs happened and you're thinking about the staff that were working for you at the time. What was going through your head at that point? I mean, you're saying that there wasn't a lot of risk involved, but, how were you feeling? Do you remember
that? Yes, I did think I was being mad. I suppose everything, you're trying to weigh up a risk. My wife had a good job. I was like, oh, can we survive on that? And I knew that the business had a job that I'd already quoted on, looked at, and that was probably going to give me about 6 months' work. So it felt like that was there. And at the very least, give it a go. Give it a go for 6 months, see where it could go from that sort of point of view. And it just felt scary. However, it felt right to do it. It just felt the right time. I looked at it and went, yes, it's always going to be a gamble, step into the unknown. You're going to feel awkward, funny, ill at ease with yourself and that sort of thing. But it just felt like the right time to do it.
Now, 23 years later, you've got a spectacular business behind you. Incredible. So
Thank you.
What are some of the sort of common misconceptions about running a business, and how do you go about addressing them?
I think the common misconceptions about business, and probably going back to when you were saying, how did it feel like starting a business? I would always say to people, if you're starting a business, I don't think the first year is really the concern. And because the excitement, the thrill, the new challenges that come, you will just find that impetus to do it. You just go, right, I'll do this. This is absolutely good. I always felt the second year was the hardest. I had something to judge it from. The first year, it made no difference where it was going. I had nothing to judge it from. The second year, it needed to carry on and build itself. I was like, oh, right, okay, now I've got to push on. So I always felt the second year was the harder year. I think the first year, just enjoy the process, enjoy the ride.
And I think that's really interesting. That's actually there's been some research done into this, and you're absolutely right. That excitement and an initial energy that you've got does last about a year, and as that starts to run out, and maybe it's tougher than you thought it was, you need a bit of resilience to get through that period before you start to naturally grow to a point where the business is running well.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you were talking about there, Stephen. So what, from a resilience point of view, what kept you going year 2, year 3?
I think they were as I say, that they were the harder years. You look at it, and I think when you say misconceptions, it's great. You are your own boss. You make your own decisions. But ultimately, probably up until that point, you always had somebody to lean on, to ask questions, and it's not that I suppose it is a little bit isolating, you've got to realise that it is a change. So I think in those second and third years, there are more of a struggle. I feel like it was, I'm sure it was after the third year that I reached out to a business coach and said, right, okay, I feel like I know what I was doing now, and I need a better direction of where I was going. So all those thoughts were just all jumbles, trying to figure it all out and figure out the direction I wanted to go. And I think that's really what sort of changed. The first year, as I say, it's of no, you just follow it. You enjoy the ride. You go through it. Second year, you go, oh, hang on a sec. Now this is what I'm in. This is a job now.
Yeah.
That you're in there, and I think it takes you a little bit to adjust to that. And then the third year is more the point where it goes, yeah, but it is a job, but I can control a lot of the factors in it. I can decide, and yes, you never, it's that old thing. You don't escape the 9 to 5 because you end up doing 8 till 6 or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
It's that sort of thing. It becomes more of you and what you want from that business to be. When we looked at it, we always wanted a business that we would want to work in. And I think you understand your values come out, I would say, at that point, your values and what's important to you and where do you want to go. It's those sort of directional things I think you take up on in the third year.
That's another interesting point. I'm sorry, we're going to stick on this one for a bit, Stephen.
Okay.
But, I think there's some powerful insights there already that, be prepared to go through that little slump and have the resilience to get through that. But then you said, I wanted a business that I would want to work in. And you talked about your values. How important is it for a business owner to get that right?
I think it's hugely important. It's everything that is the flow. And even, we're at 23 people now, and I still think it's important to have that they understand who you are and what it is and the values of the company and what it means, to work with it, because then you do work far better as a team. And it attracts a certain type of people, so it affects all of your interviews, all of what you're looking forward, and you set those tones, and those tones are what's going to be your business. And we've been a repeat referral company for, as I say, 23 years. I reluctantly call myself a salesperson, but on that same basis, I just say I fix problems. People come, got a problem, I'll fix it. They'll come back and they'll ask you to fix another problem. So I think it's just following your values. It's what's important, because your customers will see it as much as your staff.
Beautiful. If you've got powerful values, you attract the right team and the people that you want to work for you. I love that. The next question really is, how do you maintain a work-life balance as a business owner? And do you have any sort of personal rituals or habits that keep you motivated and focused?
Yeah, I think that is a struggle one, because if it is your business, you know that any effort that you put in, ultimately you feel you're being rewarded for. So how do you switch off during it? I think I think it was one of the training courses I went on, and it was talk about a golden key. So when you're coming into your front door, your kids want to see the parent. They don't want to see all of the issues with regards to work and that sort of thing. So it's about clearing your head, making sure you're in the right frame. So I was always of the thing that I wanted to put compartments in. I come home from work, I'm in work, I'm now dad. And in that same thing, people say, why don't you work from home? And I go, I could do, but I know I would be, and this is, obviously people have got to find their own groove. But I looked at it, if the kids were then coming in and knocking on the door and saying, I'm busy, I'm working, that sort of thing. When I'm home, I'm home. When I'm at work, I'm at work. And I prefer to do it that way than it is to do any other way. Even if I am got stuff to do at a weekend, I won't go into a quiet room in the house. I'll come to work for an hour, do it, and then I'll get home, because I feel like I will get it done quicker. What I'd planned to do, not get distracted, whatever it may be. I go, right, I've only said I'm going to be away for an hour, I'll do it, and then I'll get back home again. So yeah, it's still, you still end up working more being your own boss, but I felt like that was the way to to put those barriers in place so it didn't overtake my life too much.
I've heard someone talk about that key. I think it was Woody Woodhouse.
Was it? Right.
And he talks about blowing on the key and coming into the house after work with the energy to be the right person for your family. When you're at work, you're at work. When you're at home, you're dad. I think there's some huge value in that as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Really interesting. Thank you for that one. And listen, business is moving faster than it's ever moved. We've got AI coming along. There's all sorts of changes happening. How do you stay current? How do you evolve in this business landscape and adaptable to change? Are there any specific strategies that you use to remain innovative?
The strategies are, I think you always have to move forward. You don't move forward, you're moving backwards, and all those sort of phrases. But I am very much of more of a logic thing that says you have to keep on pushing. You have to do that, because I think you can so quickly become stale. And I think it's even just from your own mental state. If you're not pushing yourself and the business forward, that other people will feel that. So I think you've always got to look at ways to evolve and change. I think COVID was a huge thing for us. It really evolved our business. As I said, we do IT on music events. So music events being like Leeds Reading Festival, Creamfields. We do probably 8 out of the top 10. The biggest change over that period coming out of COVID is back to a more cashless society. So all of those devices now needed to be connected to the IT network. So it was about changing to that and then figuring out you need to go quick and evolve with it. So I think that's really the challenges. You just have to realize you're maybe not going to get everything right, but you'll always make better informed decisions than you make bad. And don't focus on your bad too much. It didn't work. Great. Move on. You know what didn't work.
Very good. Give us a glimpse into the future and the plans and goals for the business. I mean, what do you envisage the next chapter of your entrepreneurial journey to look like, Stephen?
That's probably it's a funny question, I think, really, because I suppose, as you say, running the business 23 years is more of a case of being more not directly in the business, if that makes sense, moving more towards that, allowing people to grow with the business and the internal staff, and then to let go of its other parts to it, and enjoy it, because I don't think anyone could ever speak better about your business than you can. That's one thing I always thought in regards to whether I was going to bring another salespeople in or anything. There was always going to speak with more passion about your business and what it does than anyone, and they will always see that, the customers, because it's in your values, it's who you are, it's where you go. So I think for me, it is about enjoying that more. I've put the graft in. It's enjoying it more. Yes, I probably look more to more work-life balance. Yes, I do agree with that. That sort of basis is that the effort has been put in. It's whether you're pushing that, the rolling stone, all that sort of thing. It's the momentum is there. So for me now, the momentum is done, and I'm looking at it and going, right, okay, I need to realize where it is, enjoy the sort of ride. You've earned it, sort of thing. And probably that sort of thing is where I am at.
And I think passing on your skills and your knowledge to your senior management team, and helping them develop as business professionals is, I always see business owners when they get to that point where the business is really, really established and running incredibly well, like Indigo, that it's really nice to see the team below you develop as well.
Yes. Yeah, it is. I very much agree with that, actually. Yeah, It's very true, because that is it's like a new challenge and stuff, and you can see it in people. You can see it in that sort of growth, and you're thinking, I know where I was a little bit like that, and the things that you went through, and you can learn back on your experience. It's a different sort of phase, but it's really good. I suppose it's like if you're a very good footballer, it doesn't mean you're going to be a good manager. But a lot of people do become football managers, and it's you can see the stuff, you can move that sort of thing. So it's a different phase, but it's equally just as fun.
Listen, thank you so much for being on today, Stephen. I've got one more question for you, but it's a biggie.
Oh, okay. It's not football or anything like that.
It's definitely not football related. Not at all. I don't know much about football, but what are your 3 biggest pieces of advice you would give to maybe someone starting their own business or maybe facing some challenges early on in their business? What's the top 3?
Probably would say go with your gut.
Yeah.
You do know who you are, and people will not follow, but they will understand if you can communicate it well enough, what you're trying to achieve, and they will enjoy coming on that journey with you.
Yeah.
So it is about, as I think I said, sometimes you will make some good decisions and sometimes you make some bad decisions. Don't focus on the bad too much. Move it on. Keep on moving, because you can go, well, that didn't work. But you tried it. Didn't, learn from it, and then adapt and move on. And I think that's always the thing. There's a couple of things I've tried over the years and you go, it didn't quite work, but you adapt it in a different way. Again, it then flies. So sometimes it's just follow your gut. You will know things and you will know your business far better than anyone will ever know it. Listen to the advice, and I do think these sort of things of sometimes you need, that whole thing about climbing a mountain where you go up and then you come back down again, get adjusted and climb again. I think that's what business is. Sometimes, you can enjoy that peak and enjoy that ride. And then sometimes you just have to take a moment, restructure, and then say, right, okay, what do I need to take it to the next level, and keep on moving.
Very good. What else?
What else?
So far I've got go with your
enjoy the ride. I suppose I think that's what I said. Yeah, enjoy it, because that first year, don't worry about it. If you're going to be, if you think, oh, this is scary, this is whatever it is. Of course it is. Yeah, it is always going to be that. But the first year isn't the hardest. Yeah, as much as it might seem. The second year I always thought was a much harder year, because now I'm in business, not starting a business. And now it's like, oh, what do I do? There's nothing to gain from. So the second and third years are the ones to probably look at. So if you're going to go for it, enjoy it. And after that first year, figure out what you're going to do. Because there will come that moment that goes, right, okay, where do I build from this? I've now done this year. Didn't know how it was going to go. How do I continue this? How do I grow? What to do? And it's that sort of moment, I think. Just be prepared for that moment rather than the other part. The other part, go for it. Follow your gut, enjoy the ride, and realize that what you can create is something, completely different. What can be somewhere that you want to work and what you want to go from.
I love that, Stephen. Go with your gut. Keep on moving. Learn from your mistakes, but move on. Keep moving.
Yeah.
Focus on the positives.
Yeah.
And enjoy the ride. And the biggest takeaway from me today as well has been, the power of values to attract the right team. And you mentioned that earlier, Stephen. I've written that one down because, 100% agree with that. Being absolutely crystal clear on your values, the business's values, will attract the right people to come and work for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is. They're just, you can tell straight away that when someone sits in front of you and you're doing your, you're having your chat. It just feels, you can feel it straight away. I always say a lot of stuff in CVs, you read the CV and yes, they've got to have some kind of comparable skill. Mm-hmm. But if you're a small business, you need somebody who's going to fit into your business equally as important, if not more important. How are they going to fit into the team? Do they understand what you're trying to do, who you are and the values and stuff? And if they do that, the rest of it will come.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Stephen. It's been a pleasure having you on today.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you very much.
And hopefully we'll have a chat soon. Thank you.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Alan.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Cheers.